Hey everybody, I am Caprice. Welcome to another edition of the Transistor Show. Today we are here with the band Villainy of Thieves. Hello!
Hi.
How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yep. So we're going to go down the line and everybody's going to introduce themselves. So Ross, we're going to start with you.
My name is Ross and I play drums.
I'm Dan. I play bass.
I'm Noah. I play guitar and do vocals.
So are you guys based in Madison? Are you local? You're
Yep.
all local?
Yep,
Awesome.
Madison.
Okay, so I warned you before the camera went on how this is going to go. So we're going to jump right into it. So Ross, how did you get started playing? Are you self-taught, and how long have you been playing?
I started playing, well, Noah, he's my brother, and he plays guitar. So it's kind of just being around music. I kind of got interested in it, and I started playing drums when I was 13 years old. So I've been playing for about 13 years. And I took lessons from 2 different drum teachers in the Madison area for like probably 5 years. I think I took drum lessons initially, and then I also took lessons for about probably 6 months to a year when I was about 21, just to kind of continue learning stuff from another drum teacher.
Okay, so Dan's the quiet one. So Dan, if you want.
Yeah, no, I played bass. I picked it up around 12. I'm 29 now, so it's a lot of years. I don't know why I started. I was just into music, wanted to play something. And actually, me and Noah were friends and like kind of decided like, what would you want to play? And like, we needed a bass player, so I picked up the bass and always been self-taught. But my dad's been playing for a long time, and he kind of taught me, but mostly self-taught.
Okay, Noah, so what about you?
I think I started 13 too. And yeah, me and Dan, I think we were in art class with Mr. Dewar one day, and he's like, "Oh, we should start a band." And I was like, "Okay, cool." My mom has a guitar in her closet, so that's kind of how I got assigned guitar. So then he was like, "All right, I'll play bass." And then got my first electric, I think at 13. Took some lessons with Steve Burke, who's a really good guitar player. He does the Gomoroki, if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's still the lead guitar player for that. Did that from 13 to about 17, and then I stopped doing lessons around that time, and then I took a couple more lessons maybe 4 years ago from Bradley Fish, who's a really good guitar player, and I initially like went into it saying I want to learn how to play like jazz, and he's like, well, how well do you play blues? So it turned into just kind of like a blues lesson, and he really actually helped me like think about my playing and kind of change the way I play.
So now, how long have you got? I kind of am putting it together mathematically, but math is not, my thing. But how long have you guys been playing together?
Me and Dan,
Yeah, it's tricky.
we did our first band probably high school. We got one of our friends to drum, and then we did that from about 14 until 18, about when high school ended. That band played a couple shows after high school, and then things kind of petered out. So me and Dan, I mean, that's what, 14 years?
Yeah.
And then me and Ross, we started playing, I think when I was 20. He called me up one day and he was like, hey, do you just want to get together and play? And I was like, yeah, sure. So we got together, we started playing, I think, some covers of bands we both liked, and we've been playing probably 4 to 5 days ever since then. So about 8 years for me and Ross. And I mean, we've been in a bunch of bands together with a bunch of different people. So
how long has Villainy of Thieves been together? Sorry.
2012? 2011?
Yeah, I'd say about 3 years,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were
Because, actually, yeah,
we
I
were
don't
on
know
hiatus
exactly.
last year. I moved, so I wasn't in Madison. So we played a couple shows whenever I'd come back, but so it's been maybe 4 years, but 3 kind of solid years together. So.
Okay, so I know because I always kind of do a little research online about what kind of music bands play before they come. But
Okay, yeah.
someone just turning on, what kind of music do you guys play?
Ska punk, punk ska, depending on the song. Sometimes we'll do like reggae songs, but yeah, mainly punk and ska. That's kind of our forte.
So what influenced you guys to go that way rather than the traditional kind of rock and roll way?
I would say it was no effects. I don't know about you, but like when we started out, I was like really into Blink 182, and my brother listened to like real punk. And once he introduced that to me, like it was just, I've never heard like punk rock mix ska and reggae into songs before, and I really liked that, so we just started doing that more, that kind of stuff.
I think it's just loving punk music.
Yeah.
It's pretty like when I was like 13 or 14 or somewhere around there, you just start listening to punk music and it's just like, this is awesome. It's high energy. A lot of the stuff is very like socially conscious and politically conscious. So that's kind of also, I was also really into that in high school and stuff.
Semi-rebellious.
Yeah, you got a little
Yeah,
angst.
yeah.
So the punk rock has the angst there
Yeah.
for you too, and it's kind of stuck around.
Yeah. And I don't know, there's just something about ska, at least I remember, I think it was the second song I learned. I went to my teacher and I was like, I want to learn how to play ska. He's like, oh, great, this is how you do it. And, you watch somebody who's actually kind of good at it. And when you start out, you're like, how do you do that? And I think it just makes a good contrast, too, between, there's punk bands that are amazing that do nothing but just, play kind of distorted punk. But there's something about ska, it gives, like, the music kind of a contrast. And, it rises out of, like, the Jamaican reggae scene, which is very politically conscious and it was working for, it had a kind of a socially conscious feel to it. So I think it kind of fits very much into the punk like ethos.
So that being said, are there any punk ska bands? You touched on a little bit with NoFX and Blink 182, but are there any that you really are like, you hear them, they're in your wheelhouse on a continuum?
Hands down, Streetlight Manifesto is definitely the group for me. It's like every one of their albums is awesome, and they're like punk ska to a T. Like,
and
they have a
probably
lot
the
of horns too.
their horn parts are incredible. And probably they ruin every other ska band because they're just so incredible, like they're untouchable. And that doesn't mean other ska bands with horns aren't good or they don't have enjoyable songs, but Streetlight really has like this quality of songwriting that just blows everything
They're on
out
their
of the
own
water.
level.
Yeah. And then Operation Ivy, we would probably be remiss if we don't mention Op Ivy. That's kind of the one band, and they're legendary. They were around for 4 years maybe. They toured a couple times, but their one album, every single song is amazing. And they're kind of the godfathers of punk ska, maybe.
And Sublime too, even though like they're not really like punk. But Sublime had a huge influence.
Yeah,
on
they dabble.
and they're
the
definitely
punk,
in there. I love Sublime.
Yeah, and that was something me and Dan, we listened to a lot in high school. And it's kind of weird now because there's kind of like there's a backlash against Sublime because of the people that like them now, I guess. But I don't know, there's something about the music, at least for me, it doesn't sound as dated as other bands from the 90s. It's almost more now of how we look at music because it's this blending of genres, and now with music there's a lot less, concentration on single genre. We're a lot more comfortable with blending things, and you can like hip hop and you can like punk. So,
is there any like band that kind of steals a bit of the ska that you're like, what do you do? I have one that just popped in my head while we were talking. What do you guys think about No Doubt kind of bringing some of that into their music and making it a little more mainstream?
Hey, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I think No Doubt actually their older stuff is actually really good.
first album, Tragic Kingdom.
Tragic Kingdom's a
Yeah.
good. I own
Yeah, no,
Tragic Kingdom. I got nothing against it.
Great
Yeah.
ska.
Yeah.
Great ska.
Second album, not so good.
No.
Anything Gwen Stefani did afterwards,
Yeah, let's
not a fan of, but
yeah.
it's,
Gwen Stefani in the 2000s.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Not for me personally.
Yeah,
but
but,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
don't,
liked
we
it.
don't hate just because they got successful
Yeah.
or whatever. you
And
know?
that's really good to hear because I think sometimes people tend to like grab a genre of music and they want to own it, and to me that kind of defeats the purpose of music,
Yeah,
right?
most
Like,
especially with punk, because you're not a real punk if you.
don't dress a
played
certain
this.
way or do that. And
Yeah.
as you can see, we're not
Yeah,
the most.
we're
We don't
not.
wear leather. We just kind of.
Yeah.
I just dress in the clothes I have, and
Yeah.
to me, that's punk. It's just doing whatever you do. It's not about fitting into one specific thing or one channel.
So if people want to come out and see you guys, where do you play out? And where can they look up to see where you play out?
One of the problems we have is especially recently, we do a lot of like DIY shows. So unfortunately, we can't always advertise the addresses of the places we're playing because, the shows are in people's houses and people's warehouses. So you can go to our Facebook page, and then if we're playing a place and you're like, I've never heard of that place, you can message the band, you can message me, Facebook Noah Green, and I can give you addresses of place. So recently we've been doing just kind of a lot of DIY shows just because we've been getting back into like where I'm contacting venues now. But we've played the Frequency. That's a great place to play. And then we might be playing at Mr. Roberts in March, but that show might get switched for a Frequency date. And then the Wisco we've done.
Those
Yeah.
are the three main ones, yeah. Mr.
Yeah,
Roberts,
yeah.
Wisco, and Frequency. Yeah.
Yep, and one of the problems is, we're not a band that we can go to a restaurant and, set up our
Right.
instruments and people will be like, oh, this is enjoyable to, eat
Eat
with my
with.
meal. So
Yeah.
we're kind of limited in where we can play, but, not the worst thing,
Kind of like us warning the library that you're coming.
Right, yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
In that vein too, we also, because we do ska music and punk music, I think we fit into a little bit more than at least just punk bands
Right,
do, or
yep.
just
Yep.
ska bands, or just pop bands. Because we've talked to groups and they're like, oh, it's so cool, you guys have multiple genres that you
Yep,
play, and
yep.
so we kind of have something for everybody, hopefully.
Yeah, and because in November we played with like a band that's a lot heavier than us and a lot quicker, that like crust punk or something like that, and we play our stuff and they're like, oh no, that was good. And we even have songs that kind of get a little bit heavier, and then we also have songs that are a lot more traditional ska or completely ska. So we try to. It seems like every time we've played a show, people are like, that was pretty good. Maybe not that first show at the Vault. But,
Talk about that.
yeah. We try to forget that
That
one.
in your back pocket.
Yeah.
But yeah, like depending on like the other bands that play, also we'll play certain covers to see like what might fit with the type of show we're playing.
Yeah.
'Cause
And we-
sorry, go ahead.
No, and we do a lot of covers as a band. Like we cover a lot of Operation Ivy, No Effects, all of our influences. We pretty much try to cover them and emulate them to, and play their music. So
So you guys talked about ska and you talked about Jamaica. Has anybody here been to Jamaica?
No.
No. Well, I got I've been there.
No.
Be in a ska band.
Yeah.
I know, right? Can I join?
Yeah.
I'll just play tambourine. That's about all I can do. So you guys have kind of talked about your musical influences, but we do a thing here. We do it with everybody. If you want to answer, you can. If you don't want to answer, you don't have to. So I'm going to pick a genre, and you can tell me. Some people say, you know what, I don't like anything in that genre of music, and that's totally fine. I always tell people the great thing about music is we all don't like the same thing.
Right.
So you can tell me if you have a favorite band, or if you don't, you can just be like, pass, and we're going to just go down the line. So the first genre, and we'll do 3 genres, okay? So the first genre we're going to do, simply because it's just in my head, because I saw a special on Willie Nelson the other night, so we're going to talk about classic country music. Do you have a favorite, Ross?
I would do Townes Van Zandt. You could say he's kind of more folk than country, but I love Townes Van Zandt.
There's nothing. So I had a discussion with someone the other day. The Allman Brothers, is one of those that you wouldn't really put them in that, but Melissa is like by far probably one of the best like country twangy songs that it's not like Midnight Rider. It's just I totally get the Van Zandt. Okay.
Okay, that's a Tom Van Zandt song, Melissa. So yeah, I don't know a lot of classic country, even that. All I know is like Johnny Cash, and I actually really like him. But as far as like other stuff, I'm not too into it.
All right, what do you got, Noah?
There was a like a Hank Williams greatest hits that I used to like a lot. And for like country music, a lot of times it's the guitar playing. Where like I just love the guitar playing, and it's just like such kind of a cool way of playing. And also something where you have to be really kind of lyrical, and you can't, there's not a lot of room to go nuts, but there's enough room to like make a good musical statement. So that's kind of what I like about older country.
You can't really hide. Like it was pretty much to the wall. It was out there. There wasn't a lot of electronics to hide behind those guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with, I'm looking at the albums we have on here to see. Let's go with punk. You guys talked about punk, so let's start with punk. Favorite punk band, and if you have more than one, by all means.
I mean, definitely the bands that we've already talked about. No Effects is one of my favorites for sure. Operation Ivy is really good. The Dead Kennedys, the first punk I really got into is hardcore punk, definitely because it's so politically conscious and definitely tries to make a statement and tries to really be proactive and change in society, which I think is really important. So I'd probably say the Dead Kennedys was definitely my biggest and favorite. I still listen to them to this day. So.
Yeah, I'd definitely have to go with No Effects. Bouncing Souls are also really good.
Okay, Noah, what about you?
Dead Kennedys are probably number one, it was the first band too, where I got a live video, and I was like, oh, so that's how you're supposed to play guitar. Like you watch their guitar player play, and it's like that guy really looks like he knows what he's doing. So like I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to like play the way he does. And then learning their songs, really difficult but really fun to play. And just in the sense of they were a band that was extremely politically conscious, and their shows are like, it's not a band playing songs like one right after another. There's this one video where Jello Biafra's yelling at the lighting guy because the lights are too bright, and he's like, this is theater, not television. And it's really this kind of theatrical performance where Jello Biafra really kind of, you know, he'll do like these skits almost that he's acting out in the middle of songs, and you know the band is playing along with them and watching each other, and you can tell they're really kind of solid together. And then from the 80s, you know, bands like Bad Brains, Minor Threat, MDC, a lot of that, The Descendants, a lot of that kind of old 80 punk, The Clash, of course. I never really that big into the Ramones, but
Oh, you're gonna have to go. No.
oh yeah. I was told you had a shirt. Yeah, I like the KKK Took My Baby Away is my favorite Ramones song. But other than that, I think it was a band where had I heard them at 16, or if that was the first punk band I ever listened to, I'd probably love them. But you know, some punk bands you listen to at like 20, 22, and you're like, oh, I've heard this before.
And two, you know, you guys are talking a lot about the Dead Kennedys and Jello Biafra. You know, if that's what you listened to first, which you did,
yeah.
to hold that up against the Ramones, you can't even, because the Ramones love them to pieces, but they're softer, gentler.
Yep.
You know, PJ
Yep.
Souls is in their movie. Let's just call it what it is. They're
Yeah.
not ranting about politics.
Yep.
So totally respect
Yeah,
that and
yeah,
get that.
yeah,
So no worries on that. So this is totally off base about what kind of band. What is your guilty pleasure band? Like, so what is a band that you kind of like, oh, it was Taylor Swift. You know what I mean? Like you do your hand like, I like this band, but I maybe don't want to put it out there that I like them, but I really do like them. So do you have one, Ross?
I mean, I like a lot of like pop music and stuff. So like, I mean, Blink-182 is definitely something where I don't always admit where it's like, no, yeah, I really like to listen to a lot of Blink-182.
And like, like every album, like, you know, like even the self-titled one, like, no, that's really good. It's really mature. Like,
but I mean, most of the music I like, I'm pretty proud of liking it. So I'm not too ashamed of the stuff I listen to. So I mean, I listen to all kinds of genres. I listen to classical, jazz, pop music, punk, just anything that I like. So.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's a guilty pleasure listening to old No Doubt, but I don't know. I don't feel bad about it.
Don't speak. Yeah, don't speak. It's like,
I
love the song Don't Speak, but am I super like proud of that? Well, not always. So it's when you're by yourself, you know, sitting in a car or something, you're just like, don't speak. So
You're singing to it.
yeah.
Right.
Noah, what do you have?
Probably 311. Just, I don't know, they just get such a bad reputation, and they're so musically amazing.
So good.
But, you know, if somebody's like, hey, what kind of music do you like? You'd probably have to put on a 311 song before it'd be like, no, I actually really like this. And then pop music, Amy Winehouse. But I'm not, actually, that's not really like I'm not that embarrassed about it. I mean, she makes really good music, and it's really well arranged, and especially for pop music, you know. I think she did something really kind of cool, and a lot of her songs are really haunting. So.
That voice is something. Adele is another one. I really love her voice, and people kind of like point their finger like, Adele, really? Yes. Get off my case.
Yeah.
She has a beautiful voice. So switching away from music for a minute, we're going to talk movies, because that's what we do too. I warned you guys. So, and if you don't want to, you don't have to. So a movie comes on, it's almost over, it's halfway through, you don't care, you sit down and watch it. Do you have a movie like that, and what is it, Ross?
I mean, to be honest, I don't watch a lot of movies.
That's fine.
So yeah, I guess that's gonna be my answer. I'm not 100% sure.
You're not a movie guy? That's totally fine.
I know, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm sure there are movies, or you know, it's on. I'm like, actually, this is a good movie, but yeah, I don't know.
Noah, do you have one?
Maybe it's just where we are, but Wayne's World. I don't know, me and Dan watch Wayne's World like
You know,
so many
I
times.
appreciate that statement so much, because that is really the goal that we're going for.
So you think of the ones that I forget when you ask me. I can't think of it, but yeah, that's a good one.
But you're not first.
Wayne's
I'm
World.
first.
Yeah, this
I'm
guy
like, oh
first.
man, they get like another
Yeah.
10 seconds to think.
Oh,
I'm like
yeah.
first on. I'm like,
I'm
okay.
trying to think as hard as I
You
can
can
while
always
you're talking.
say pass, and we
Oh,
can
yeah.
come back
I can
to
defer.
you. You can defer. I should have warned you about that offline, but I didn't. So you guys, you've talked a lot about, and we don't go too deep, we don't go too political here, but we will for a little bit, just because you guys have really talked about it. So, you've talked about music and how you really like ska because it has a political message, and Dead Kennedys with Jello Biafra. What do you guys think about Rage Against the Machine and kind of what they do? Do you think they're pretty powerful? Do you feel that they're doing?
Yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
what are some things that you guys feel strongly about that maybe music can help get the message out?
Well, like the thing about Rage Against the Machine, which I think is something a lot of early punk tries to do, but now it's a lot more difficult for punk to be in the mainstream, at least politically conscious punk, was that they're a popular band on a major record label doing something that's extremely politically conscious, which, I mean, it's kind of surprising that they'd even be signed to a major record label, especially with, all of the things they do. And a lot of the stuff they do, especially Tom Morello, like he's extremely radical. I mean, that was awesome when he came here for the protests in 2011.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember he went to a sandwich shop here that it's closed now, but all of the sandwiches are named after like socialists. So he like specifically went there because he wanted to support like local businesses. But then, what are causes that punk can help? I think it's just getting, especially, I mean, punk's always going to be for kind of younger people. Just getting people to think about politics and, think about it both in an independent way, but then also to try to educate people as much as possible. I mean, not every punk band has to do that.
Right.
There's punk bands I love that, songs about girls and everything like that. But just getting people to actually think about politics and think about the world. And I think that's why punk appeals to young people, because, you're young and you are looking at the world and you just kind of, are like, this doesn't seem right, or I don't want to do the things that people say I should do.
What do you guys think about some of the politicians right now that are running for president that seem to be grabbing music and the musicians are getting really not happy about it? Like, what do you guys think about that? Politicians using those songs as kind of their banner
Yeah, it's
behind
weird. I
them.
think it was Scott Walker that opened to a Dropkick Murphys song.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes. And
Which song was it?
I don't remember
I don't
which
remember,
one it
but they were
was.
not happy.
Yeah, they were
Really?
not happy
Yeah.
about it. So it's kind of messed up that they do that, because, yeah, you never know if the band actually agrees with their politics or not. So, but I mean, you need entrance music. So
Yeah. Wasn't there something with Donald Trump did that?
Adele, he stole,
Oh, okay.
and she was not
Really?
Okay,
having
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Not that we're political one way or the other.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
we are about the music, but it's timely. People are running for president right now. So, so all that said, if there was one band that came to town and you could go see, and money was no object, what band would that be? And you can go with whoever has it in their head first. There's no pressure.
I'll go first. I would go see Simon and Garfunkel, because they actually were going to come to town, I think, like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and Garfunkel had vocal cord issues, and they canceled the concert, and I had a ticket to go. It was $130 to see them, and I didn't get to see them because Garfunkel and his vocal cord issues, which I understand because they're getting older, but that was very sad. So I would definitely, hands down, I would drop everything to go see them. They're one of my favorite groups. Just beautiful music.
Dan, do you
yeah,
have
I
one?
wouldn't mind seeing some Paul Simon, but I'd have to go with NoFX, just because they are like the music to me that just is the best, and I just love them.
What about you, Noah? Do you have one?
Streetlight Manifesto, particularly because they broke up or they don't tour anymore. I also got to see them 2 years ago in New York, and it just reminded me of how awesome their shows are, how much fun they are. And then, yeah, probably Streetlight.
Okay, so this is kind of an odd question, but it just popped in my head while we've been talking about music and everything. Okay, so if there was an instrument that you could play in addition to what you already play, what instrument would you want to play?
think Ross is the person who's working on that.
Well,
right
yeah,
now.
I play piano also.
Okay.
So I started learning, like, probably only started about 6 months ago, but I started doing, pretty much play like classical piano pieces. So I play like Mozart, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, people like that. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'd like to play. And I think it really enhances actually learning another instrument. I think it really helps my drum playing to play piano, as counterintuitive as it may sound, but I think it just gets you more open to more musical ideas and even just the whole listening to classical music. The music is so beautiful. And yeah, I just enjoy playing it.
Dan, do you have another instrument you'd like?
Yeah, actually, I just got a trumpet on Christmas,
Nice.
but slow going, kind of hard to pick up, but be trumpet.
What about you, Noah? Is there something else you'd want to play?
I resigned myself to guitar. I'm fine. Piano was always something, oh, that'd be really cool, but yeah, I'm fine with just, I mean, I can, if I really wanted to, I've been trying to get back into playing like classical guitar. So I have like the nylon string, I get the weird position and everything, I'm reading music.
It's almost like a different instrument.
Yeah, so I'm fine with guitar. There was, when I was younger, I wanted to play a bunch of different instruments, but now it's fine. Guitar's, it's enough for me.
So we only have a few more minutes, and then you guys are going to play for us. So when you're out playing, and say someone calls out like a cover song and they want to hear a certain song, is there any song you're like, please don't shout that out because we really don't want to play that song? Do you have any? Are you pretty open?
We had a really cool, the last show we played, we were like, we'll play any Operation Ivy song, just name out an Operation Ivy song, and I think it was Ash, she called out Take Warning, and it was like, thankfully, it was a song we knew, so we played it, but it was pretty cool just to be like, somebody just yelled out a random song, and we were like, yeah, sure, we got it, and I messed up a little, but it was fine.
We did good.
We did
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So if we know it, we'll play it, probably.
Yeah, I mean, there'd be some NoFX songs where I'd be like, ugh, we might not be able to get through it, or, but I don't think any song we know we'd be completely fine with playing. We've had Corona be yelled out by the Minutemen.
Okay.
We actually did something where we had a band that covered Corona, and they messed it up, and then we were like, oh, we'll cover it correctly, and we actually messed it up too. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It was
note
karma.
to self, don't
Yeah.
diss the other band.
Yeah.
Well, we were friends. We were friends with the band. So
yeah.
they're a band from Milwaukee that I went to high school with and stuff. So
It
they're
was okay.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we're very unfriendly
It was,
terms.
it was in good. It was
Yeah.
good nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to come back in a few minutes,
Cool.
and you guys are going to play for us. We're very excited. I'm hoping nobody from the library comes over and
Yeah.
pounds on the door.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you letting me kind of pseudo grill you. You guys were really fun to talk to. Made my life easy because there were 3 of you,
Yeah.
which is fabulous for
Yeah.
me. So we've been hanging out with Villainy of Thieves. This is a Transistor show. Stick around because they're going to come back and they're going to play some awesome ska punk music for us.
Hi, we're Villainy of Thieves. This song's called Out of the Church. It's about a place me and Ross used to live. It was a 4,000 square foot church, and then I moved out of there and into a place called The Manor. So this song's about kind of that period of my life, and this was the first song I ever wrote for this band.
Running all the time, I can't afford to be late. I'm running around in circles and I'm wearing out my legs. I've been a lot of places, I ain't seen nothing good. And that's why I'll just stay here in my little neighborhood. So when I run out of the church and into the manor, I can cut out all that drinking. Not thinking any clearer, I'm still running out of places to stay. Running out of places to stay. I won't come round here anymore. Was that rock bottom or was it the floor? I'm running out of places to stay. Running all the time but never getting anywhere. I ran out of reasons long ago to even care. Yeah, I've been a lot of places, I ain't seen nothing great. And that's why for another year in Madison I stayed. So when I run out of the church and into the manor, I could cut out all that drinking. Not feeling any better, I'm still running out of places to stay. I'm running out of places to stay. I won't come around here anymore. Was that rock bottom or was it the floor? I'm running out of places to stay. So when I run out of the church and into the manor, I could cut out all that drinking. Oh, it never really mattered. I'm still running out of songs to sing. I'm running out of songs to sing. I'll just take my final breath when the path that sounds the easiest. Running out of songs to sing.
This song's called This One's For. It's not really about anything in particular.
This one's for those days when I didn't do anything at all. I just sat on my front porch and I drank cheap alcohol. This one's for that summer when I didn't want to shower. The filth and the smell, they just return in an hour. This one's for those days when I can't get out of bed. When the hangover, it hit me like a hammer in the head. This one's for those nights when I can't fall asleep. And I gave up a long time ago on trying to count sheep. So I'll stay awake until the early day when the feeling of disgust, it doesn't go away. I won't live my life regretting things I've done, so I'll get the heck out of here right now. Up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Drop it. This one's for all those when they're feeling left behind, when you're running out of shadows in which you might hide. This one's for all those that circumvent the law, cause rules were meant to be broken and the idols they will fall. This one's for all those at the end of their rope, when they're cascading down the sides of your slippery slope. Yeah, the ones in the back that are clinging to ghosts, and those in the front that dance to forget. Yeah, those that stay awake until the early day when the feeling of disgust, it doesn't go away. They don't live their lives regretting the things they've done, so they'll get the heck out of here right now.
So we were asked a song about country music, and this is our country song. I was playing an open mic, and somebody came up to me afterwards, and they were like, "Oh, I really like that country song you did." And I never really thought of it as a country song, but it kind of planted the idea in my head that, well, maybe we could play this in kind of a country vein. So this is our response to the country question.
Highway, take me back east where the wind don't blow so cold, where I've got a girl to lay with and a guitar to hold. I was feeling mighty restless, but that's over with now, and I'll be what you want to me when you just tell me how. Highway, take me out where the sun does shortly shine, where I've got a bottle to drink from and a chaser of red wine. I was living kinda sober, but that life has passed, and I'll drink to my health because my luck, it doesn't last. Highway, would take me down south where the shows pay much more cash. Playing in this town, I never thought I stood a chance. I was living kinda broke, like the sound of cracking glass. And if you listen up, you just might hear the crash. I would take me out west where the vistas are much more wide, and the constellation burned brighter far from the city's wretched lights. I was feeling like there wasn't any feeling anymore, so I'm hoping this highway leads me right to my front door. So I would take me almost anywhere tonight, and when the morning comes, say everything will be alright. I was feeling like there wasn't any feeling anymore, so I'm hoping this highway leads me right to my front.
Getting worse. All right, this is our newest song. So if there's a little slip up, was that? There was clapping in studio. So yeah, this is our newest song. So we might mess it up a little, but if we do, we apologize. But this song's called "Getting Worse."
Grieving chill comes up my spine, a contagion spread this curse. Catatonic, I collapsed on a pebble in the dirt. In my youthful naivety, it felt like fun and games at first, but it was never getting better. It was only getting worse, getting worse. Visions of Francesca, they flashed before my face. The trip down in my inferno became a spiral I couldn't maintain. Took the third of Ariadne, but it reminds me I lost my place, and that every single second has brought me closer to my grave. Distance with no purpose, but it's not a crying shame. Every single song is some small attempt to maintain a semblance of standing before the passing of the first when it was never getting better. It was only getting worse, getting worse. 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 Whoa, whoa, oh, 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 oh. Whoa, whoa. Deep in the nausea of this bit, that I'm we, I don't fight, that's the one that always wins. In the final lecture, true intentions did emerge, I realized never getting better. It's only getting worse, getting worse. 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 Whoa, whoa, oh, 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 oh. Whoa, whoa.
Tuned by ear.
tuned by ear, it's always sharp. I'm still seeing shadows in the dark. Raise your hand when there's no will to fight. I started the car, but I stayed in park. With that attitude, I don't get far. Failure, it sounds louder than victory. Retreat ain't defeat, it's just getting kinda close. I'm slipping off the edge once again. Took a taste, but it came back up. I guess it was something I didn't want. My stomach doesn't trust my mouth anymore. Go out tonight or stay inside. It's always easier to run and hide. Enjoying the comforts of home. Retreat ain't defeated, just getting kinda close. I'm slipping off the edge once again. Not taking it more. Where's my stuff and where's the door? I'll let you get the last word. I haven't got any time to listen to you complain and wanna watch him the taste out of my mouth right now. Retreat ain't defeated, just getting kinda close. I'm slipping off the edge once again. Rejection and deception, it amounts to depression. Tonight's gonna be the last time. When I tune by ear, it's always flat. I smoke that stuff, there's no going back. Everything seems slightly better when I leave, there's no return. My voice is steady, my tone was stern. I'm never returning home. Retreat ain't defeated, just getting kinda close. I'm slipping off the edge once again. Rejection and deception, it amounts to depression. Tonight's gonna be the last time. Something's inside you in the spectacle of all the shows with 15 fudging years and fucks have gone up a promoter's nose. Jaded, I see clearly only half of what's there. The good old days are far behind, what's left is boredom and despair. Sometimes every once in a while, sometimes every once in a while, beautiful. I would say I wouldn't have it any other way. If I said gibbering, that would be a lie. If I said gibbering, that would be a lie. Be alive. What was once rebellion is now just a social sect. Are you just upset cause you're a social clique as well? Leave when you want, cause I know that someday I will too. I won't burn my bridges, be just another jaded fool. Sometimes every once in a while, sometimes every once in a while, beautiful. I would say I wouldn't have it any other way. If I said different, that would be a lie. If I said different, that would be a lie. Be alive. It's beautiful. I would say I wouldn't have it any other way. If I said different, that would be a lie. If I said different, that would be a lie.
Please don't sue us, Tim Armstrong. We're Villainy of Thieves. You've been watching the Transistor radio show. Transistor show.